So again, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our new members to the ABA Criminal Justice section. My name is Melba Pearson, and it is my honor to serve as chair of the section for this 2025-2026 bar year. We're pleased that you decided to become a member of our section and really looking forward to the various ways that we can collaborate. So one of my big asks for today is that you join a committee or committees, because you can do more than one, if you have not done so already. And you will hear from our committee's officer, Faraz Mohammadi, and he'll tell you a little bit more about the options available. And whether you become a committee member or not, we definitely will be asking members to consider developing programs and policy. And we'll hear more about policy developments from our section delegate, Wayne McKenzie. And be sure to please drop any questions in the chat. So we have some exciting events coming up this year. And I hope that your schedules will allow you to join us. This is some really premier work that our section is doing, and we give a variety of opportunities for folks to be able to participate, network, and fellowship. So coming up next month, November 17th to the 18th, we've got the International White Collar Crime Institute in Geneva, Switzerland. It'll be a little brisk, but it will be a fabulous opportunity to, again, take in a beautiful new city, as well as really hear some amazing panels from top-level white-collar practitioners from around the globe. Then next up in March, we will be in San Diego, and that would be for the White Collar Crime Institute, which will then be followed by our spring CLE programming, as well as our section council meeting. And so that starts on March 10th, goes until the 13th. And then starting the 14th, we transition into the spring CLE programming and then our council meeting that Saturday. And then lastly, for marking your calendar, we have our International White Collar Crime Institute again in July of 2026. And that is July 13th and 14th. And that will be in Singapore. So again, exciting opportunities, wonderful programming. Our chairs have really put together, our event chairs have put together some amazing speakers, panels, and all of that. And so Patrice, one of our amazing staffers, Patrice Payne, is dropping in the chat links for you to be able to learn more about these events as well as register. So please take an opportunity to do that as soon as you can. Now, next up, we have a number of opportunities for section award nominations. And so I'm going to go through some of the different categories that we have, but we really encourage you to go into your contacts and the folks that you work with on a day-to-day basis or are within your orbit and that you're like, wow, that person is really doing amazing work. Well, we rely on all of you to tell us who's doing great work in your particular area of expertise in your geographic area of the country. And so share those folks with us. So the first award I'm going to talk about is the Curtin Mailing Minister of Justice Award. Now, this award is bestowed on a prosecutor who embodies the principles that the duty of the prosecutor is to seek justice, not merely convict. The next award we have is the Krieger Champion of Liberty Award. And this is an award that recognizes defense attorneys who embody the principles enunciated in the ABA standards for criminal justice defense function. Next award is the Charles R. English Neil Sonnet Award. This is an award for judges, prosecutors, the defense bar, academics, and other attorneys who have distinguished themselves by their work in criminal justice. Next up would be the Frank Carrington Crime Victim Attorney Award. And this is an award that is designated for attorneys or legal service providers who have worked to promote or implement policies to improve the treatment of crime victims in the criminal justice system. Then we have the Livingston Hall Juvenile Justice Award, and this is for active bar members who devote a significant portion of their legal practice to youth and children. And last but not least, we have the Rader Taslitz Award, which is an award given to a law professor who has made a significant contribution to promoting justice and fairness in the criminal justice system. So those are some of the awards. Again, the description and link to more information is going into the chat. So I strongly encourage all of you to take a look at your convenience at the different awards and really think through folks in your contact list who would be ideal for this. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Faraz to talk about our committee work.
Thank you, Melba. Hello, everyone. I just want to spend a couple seconds just to introduce myself. My name is Faraz Mohammadi. I'll be serving as your committee's officer for this term. Just a little bit of background. I'm an attorney in the White Collar Defense and Investigations Group at Latham & Watkins. I practice primarily in Los Angeles, Orange County area. And I have been involved with the criminal justice section going back to 2019 when I was selected as a diversity and inclusion fellow. And I just haven't been able to get enough since. Since my fellowship ended, I served as co-chair of Diversity and Inclusion Committee, a co-chair of the LGBT Committee. I've served on council, I've served as a vice chair at large, and now I'm very fortunate to serve as your committee's officer. And I just share that to show that the more active you are in the section, the more I think you realize how much, what an effect you can have on the legal community and the communities in which we're involved in through the resources that the section has to offer. And not putting aside the friendships that you make and the camaraderie, which is such a key component of the section as well. And one of the foundations of the section is the committee work that we do. And I know a priority of Melba's has been to really increase and expand upon the activities that the committees have already been doing and really to promote membership engagement through our committee work, which kind of led to the creation of the committee officer position to begin with. Some feedback we have received over time is that, the committee officers and the committee chairs, I should say, have so many ideas and want to do so much work with the section, there just wasn't really a central resource for them to understand what resources were available, what was possible, what wasn't, how to relay messages with the executive committee. And so we've created this committee officer position to be that resource. The committee officer, one of my roles is to be a liaison between the committee chairs and the executive committee and council, to essentially be the chair's representative and to keep the council and executive committee informed on committee activities over the term. But I think more importantly, my job is to be a resource for the committee chairs, to essentially answer any questions you have, to address your concerns, to elevate your ideas and concerns to leadership, just to make sure that you feel that you are as supported as you can be to pursue the goals that you want to pursue in your committee work. But I'm not just a resource for the committee chairs. I'm also a resource for any members who are interested in committee work. If you have a question about what committees are available, what committee would best be suited for you to, given your interests, that's what I'm here for. And my contact information, I'm sure, will be shared. And Regina is the committee manager, Regina Ashman. Her and I are going to be kind of working in lockstep to be able to answer any questions that you may have. So let's talk about the committees. I think one of the aspects that makes the criminal justice section so unique is that we have such a varied kind of range of committees that we offer. Obviously, all of our members are interested in criminal justice, but that is such a broad kind of umbrella. Our committees give you an opportunity to really join a group or a subset of the group of the membership to really focus on areas in criminal justice that you want to focus on and you want to kind of expand your network in, or the work that you do with. And so some examples are, we have a juvenile justice committee. We have a committee that focuses on sentencing. If you want to be part of committees that are kind of comprised of people in your specific role in the criminal justice system, for instance, the prosecution function committee or the defense function committee, the judicial committee, we have a committee focused on academia, you name it. So we encourage you to go to the criminal justice section website and see all the committees that the section has to offer. And if you have any questions about those committees, you can even reach out to me or the committee chairs themselves. And I'm sure they'll be happy to answer your questions and talk to you about how to get more involved. But kind of, we talk about committees in the abstract. I want to kind of give you some tangible examples of why committee work, joining a committee is so beneficial. It gives you kind of pathways to really take advantage of the resources that CJS has to offer. So you may have an idea about wanting to put out a publication. You can work with the people in your committee to either find co-authors, ask if this kind of work has, this kind of publication has been issued before, generate ideas, pick people's brains, and not just for publications, but if you want to host a webinar, for instance, or an in-person program, your committees are really a great resource. Not to say that the executive committee or council isn't, of course, we're always accessible, but the committee, you're really with a lot people focused on that same interest. And I think people who are drawn to certain committees come with certain backgrounds and resources themselves that can really be an asset to you in wanting to be more active in the section. I can give one kind of example. When I was co-chair of the LGBT committee, the FDA had put out a resolution recommending that they change the guidelines for blood donations. It used to be the case that if you were a gay man or a bisexual man, someone who had had sex with men within the last year, you were not allowed to donate blood. That was it, full stop. Before that, it was, if you'd ever engaged in kind of relations with another man and so on. And recently it had been brought to kind of 3 months. The FDA had issued a resolution saying, we're not going to do blanket bans. We're now going to make it kind of tailored to an individual's history, regardless of their sexual orientation. The ABA wanted a letter of support for the FDA's resolution, the president of the ABA. So they came to CJS, and the CJS leadership then went to the LGBT committee and said, would you be interested in helping draft a letter for the president of the ABA to submit in support of this resolution? And obviously our committee was kind of very much focused in this area. We were aware of kind of the FDA regulations going past. We knew that there was a resolution that CJS had put out in the past on this issue. And we jumped at the opportunity. We worked with the Government Affairs Office, and we put together a letter that was then sent to the FDA in support of that recommendation. That's just one example. This happens all the time, where kind of requests come into the section, and the leadership says, let's put this with the committee that's focusing on this issue, and the committee runs with it. So we really do encourage you to join committees, because these opportunities really are grown from the committee level. I'll just kind of end with kind of what the expectations are of committees. I don't like calling them expectations. They're really opportunities for the committee. As Melbaz coined it, we kind of want each committee to focus on the 3 Ps: programming, policy. Oh my God, did I forget the third? And publications, sorry. Essentially for programming, host a webinar, an in-person meeting, something to show that you're kind of putting out some programming that focuses on the topic of your committee. And I'm sorry, Patrice, I wasn't following the slides, my apologies. But with publications, we have numerous publications in the section. CJ Magazine, we put out newsletters, and we encourage the members through their committees to work to publish at least once a term. And of course, policies, which Wayne will talk about, working to draft resolutions, which is another foundational aspect of the section. With that said, we have upcoming committee meetings that are happening over the next couple weeks. If you're unsure about what committee you want to join, or you kind of want to see what a committee meeting looks like, you can join. We highly encourage you to join one of these. They're virtual, and Regina can put you in touch with the chair and send you the Zoom information. And I can tell you, even a committee that I recently joined, the moment you join, you are welcome with open arms. You are immediately brought into the fold. You're not going to feel like a stranger kind of on the outside. So I highly encourage you, any topic you're interested in, jump into that committee meeting, and they're gonna hit the ground running with getting you involved. What last topic is, leadership in committees. Joining is one thing, but some of you may be asking, well, how do I become a committee chair? And I think the first step is just to be proactive in your committee. When you show initiative and you show you have ideas that you would like the committee to follow, the committee chairs kind of recognize that. So does the leadership generally, and they really want to bring you into the fold. So just being proactive is a great first step. Reaching out to your committee chairs, expressing interest, reaching out to me to express interest that you want to be part of leadership in the future. And we'll do everything we can to give you the resources to succeed. So with that, I will now turn it over to Wayne to talk about the section and the larger ABA structure.
Well, actually, before we get to Wayne, thank you so much, Faraz.
No problem.
I'm going to just chat a little bit about council, and then we can transition into Wayne talking about that. But I will say this, I got my start within the ABA as a committee chair, and it was so enjoyable in terms of getting to help create policy, putting on different webinars and programs. And I learned a lot, not only just about my field, just from having the different speakers and engaging with different folks, but I also learned more about the ABA and how it was structured and all of that. So committees are such a wonderful entry point, and you really get to explore whatever it is that you're interested in, or expand on your area of knowledge and start in a different path than you may have originally intended. And just, you can date the committees. You don't have to commit right away. So you can go to a variety of different committee meetings, see where you fit in, and see where you're most passionate, and then go from there. And so now I'm going to talk a little bit about the CJS Council. Now, the CJS Council is our governing body of the section. So kind of think of it as the board of directors as you would of any other organization. And the council is made up of the people that are listed on this slide. So the executive committee consists of the officers of the section, which would be the chair, myself, the chair-elect, the first vice chair, the budget officer, the secretary, the membership officer, the diversity officer, the committee's officer, the policy development officer, the immediate past chair, 2 vice chairs at large, and the section delegate or delegates. We have 2 delegates. The executive committee may act when time will not permit the calling of a meeting of the council or the conducting of a vote by mail on, critical matters that don't warrant the attention of the full council. Now, 15 members at large are elected by the section membership for 3-year terms. And at any one time, 1/3 of those members shall be serving the first year of a 3-year term, 1/3 shall be serving their second year, and then 1/3 will be serving the 3rd year. There's also a law student representative that is appointed by the law student division from among its criminal justice section members. And then we also have honorary members of the council who can attend all of the meetings of the council and participate in any discussion. However, they don't have the voting privileges as other council members would. Now, honorary members tend to be former chairs of the section for the past 5 years after serving as immediate past chair. So that's the composition of these honorary members. The council is responsible for the administration of the affairs of the section. So that includes authorizing payments, establish or dissolve the committees or functional groups or organizational structures it considers necessary to assist in accomplishing the goals of the section. They also approve actions of the section committees before it can be considered as an official section action. They can submit a nomination for a section member at large for the larger board of governors, which is something that Wayne McKenzie will be touching on. And between meetings of the section, the council has that full power to do and perform all of the acts and functions that the section itself might perform. So all of the members of the council, except for honorary members and special advisors, have the right to vote. Now, special advisors, again, are often appointed by the chair to maybe spearhead a particular topic or to work on a particular project. And that can change from year to year, but some often end up serving multiple years as special advisors. And so at this point, I'm now going to turn it over to Wayne McKenzie, who will discuss a bit about his role as a section delegate. Wayne?
Maybe he's on mute.
Wayne, you're on mute.
You missed the best part of my presentation. Let's start from the beginning. Thanks, Melba. And good afternoon and a special welcome to our newest section members. I'm Wayne McKenzie, and in my day job, I am an executive in the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. But I started my career on the other side of the Brooklyn Bridge in the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office. But I want to make this a trifecta based on what you heard from Melba and Faraz, because I too got my start in the criminal justice section as a committee chair. And that start actually led to me having leadership opportunities in other parts of the American Bar Association, such as I was a member of the Standing Committee on Gun Violence. I was a commissioner on the Diversity Center. I was also a member of the Coalition on Racial and Ethnic Justice, and ultimately became a member of the council and was also honored to serve this section as a chair of the criminal justice section. And as you were just informed, I am now one of 2 delegates representing the criminal justice section in the House of Delegates. The other is Professor Steve Salzberg. Now, as delegates, we're members of the ABA House of Delegates, which is the ABA's primary policymaking body. Our role as a delegate is to debate and vote on resolutions at the House of Delegate meetings while representing the interests of the section. And the House of Delegates meets at the ABA annual meeting and also the ABA mid-year meeting. Now, the House of Delegates, it's basically the legislative body of the association, where we vote on resolutions that establish ABA policy. It elects the officers of the association and the members of the Board of Governors. Now, there are approximately 600 delegates in the House. The members of the board, we have 52 state delegates, and you have local bars and affiliated associations. And then you also have the ABA sections and divisions. Now, when the section council approves or adopts a proposed resolution, the section will then submit it to the ABA HOD Rules and Calendars Committee. It's given a report number, and then it's added to a calendar for consideration at one of the ABA meetings. There's something there called the consent calendar, and that consent calendar consists of those items which the Committee on Rules and Calendars believe are non-controversial. So those items are then just taken up with a single vote when the House meets. However, if any delegate in writing makes submits in writing to the Committee on Rules and Calendar about any item on that consent agenda, it's then taken off of the consent calendar and it's made the subject of debate. So ultimately, there's going to be a final calendar prepared by the Committee on Rules and Calendars. All delegates, section, or committee chairs who wish to be recognized in the House of Delegates to speak on a resolution fills out what we call a salmon-colored form or salmon sheet. It's called a salmon sheet because that's the color. So even now we do this electronically, we still refer to it as completing a salmon sheet. Now, these forms indicating the intention to speak are given to members of Rules and Calendar. Each delegate, when recognized, will state their name, their representative capacity for the record. They will then move the resolution for consideration, which is second. Then we'll have an opportunity to basically advocate to the House of Delegates to vote in favor of that resolution. And all decisions are made by a majority vote. Slide. So I also mentioned the Board of Governors. Now, similar to how the council governs the affair action, the Board of Governors functions as the key administrative and governing body in between meetings of the House of Delegates. The BOG, as we refer to them, oversees the association's general operations, manages finances, sets the strategic direction, and acts on behalf of the larger House of Delegates when the House is not in session. Now, that board has 43 members, and it's composed of district representatives, members at large from various lawyer groups, and the ABA officers. The board develops methods and specific plans for making the association and its activities useful to the members in their professional work. And in between meetings of the House, the board may perform, not inconsistently with any action taken by the House, the functions that the House itself might perform. And if you want some more background information on either the HOD or the Board of Governors, you can check the Red Book or the Green Book. And I think Patrice can put that in the link in the chat. Next slide. So you heard everyone mentioning about resolutions. The ABA president cannot speak publicly about an issue unless there's been an ABA resolution on that specific issue. So these resolutions are extremely important. I'm going to channel my fellow delegate, Steve Salzberg, and say there was a time when criminal justice section, we were the leaders of bringing resolutions before the House. Not so much now. And so we really want to encourage committee members, and actually any of you in your personal capacities can propose a resolution. How do you do that? So if you're drafting a resolution, our policy development officer, Michael Moore, or our policy director, Kevin Scruggs, and staff are available for questions and support, as are Steve and myself. The first step is to do your research to make sure that you're not about to duplicate or contradict an existing ABA policy. How do you do that? Well, again, you can reach out to the folks that I mentioned earlier, and Patrice is a whiz in that capacity also. Now, once you've concluded that is not the case, think through which committees, entities, or persons you should have at the table as experts. Collaboration on the front end reduces surprising challenges at the end. And we definitely encourage collaboration. After you've completed your draft resolution and report, you aim to submit it to the policy director, Kevin Scruggs, 6 weeks prior to the date of the next council meeting. And the draft will be included in the council agenda book. Now, let me add this. You don't have to look at submitting the perfect draft the first time around. Again, Steve and I are perfectly willing to look at initial drafts of your resolutions and sort of give our initial input. Now, what's expected of you at a council meeting? The council is comprised, as you've already heard, of defense attorneys, prosecutors, judges, academics, and others. They may ask questions from their own viewpoint about your resolution. It would be really good to try to anticipate the questions and be ready to respond to them as best you can. These questions are raised to increase clarity on a point, The presentation of your resolution should include why there's a need for such policy. And I would say both the presentation and the Q&A are usually less than 30 minutes, all right? As the council has lots of other business to consider. If the council approves, the next body to look at the resolution would be the House of Delegates. And just to say a little bit about that, right now there's a resolutions committee that will actually take a look at it to make sure that it's in the appropriate form. And the final thing that I would say is, while generally it's myself or Steve who might be the initial people advocating for resolutions, if you have an expert or even you, there's an opportunity for you to stand before the House of Delegates and advocate for that resolution. The other point is, if you work with other entities or divisions within the ABA and they actually contribute to drafting the resolutions, they can come on as a co-sponsor. Other than that, you can also go to different sections and divisions to have people come on as supporters. Obviously, the more support you have, the easier the resolution will be to advocate for and to adopt. So there's a lot in a short time, but now I'm going to kick it back to our chair, Melba.
Thank you so much for that, Wayne. I know, again, everyone, that's a lot of information, but again, we have all the resources available for you to be able to read up at your own leisure. And again, all of us are willing to be resources, so never hesitate to ask a question, reach out to any of us. And we have this new section community page. So that would be a great way to be able to connect with folks, learn about what, keep up with what's happening in the section, see what events are coming up, look at the leadership directory, which is how you'd be able to get in touch with us. And again, all of us have been new members at one point, so we well remember how you may feel like, wow, there's a lot going on. Where do I start? Which way do I go? You're not lost. We're all happy to be your shepherd here. So definitely reach out to us, present any questions you may have, and you will find that the section is a very warm and welcoming place, and everybody is more than happy to help. So we've got the community page, so definitely check that out. And you can also access the community page via the ABA Communities mobile app, which is now in both the Apple Store and in Google Play. And you can also reach out to our amazing staff members, such as Patrice Payne, Regina Ashman, Jamie Campbell, and they're more than happy to send you in the right direction. So I'm going to pause here and see if anyone has any questions. But before I do that, after this session, we will now have the actual town hall for the members. So I really encourage all of you to stay with us for another hour to hear what's going on from a day-to-day basis in our section. And then lastly, we're going to be having some regional meetups. There will be 4 of them. One will be hosted in New York City by Wayne McKenzie, who you just heard from. As you know, he is a past chair, as well as fellow past chair Tina Luongo. And we also have events in Atlanta, Tampa, and San Diego. So if you happen to be nearby, it's not too late to join in on one of those events, which will be occurring at the end of our town hall. So with that, I'm going to pause to see if there are any questions. Feel free to either raise your hand or drop it in the chat. And here we go.
I'll just add the incentive for coming to one of these events is the first round will be on us.
All right. Well, hearing no questions, we are going to adjourn at this point, but we will be back on the hour, and that would be 5 p.m. Eastern or 2 p.m. Pacific, and we'll be back there for our town hall. So thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you in about 24 minutes.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone, and thanks, Patrice and Regina.